Hello everyone and welcome back to another weekly altered video. We've got Isaree and Pebble today, checking in after the removal of common Grems and restocking station from the Axiom card list that is available for standard play, with a slight rebuild of the deck, but mostly we're just going to check and see how this one does. Low to the ground, only cards that we really have that cost more than 2 and put a character out onto the field are the nuances, which can get real big, and our Bravos Rescuer that we can use to draw cards and resupply with the aerolith tokens that we create. The reason we're playing such low to the ground creatures, no top end, it's because we've rejigged the permanents that we are running from the last time we played this on the channel. The 3 Kelon cylinders used to be restocking stations. Obviously couldn't do that anymore, but recycling your cards was very good. And now we're just going to be putting a bit of power on there, have some permanents out, so that if we've got one Refinery and a Kelon cylinder, we can always sacrifice the aerolith tokens at end of turn to look at more cards, and really building around the Refinery. So at the rarity, I guess, this can be a very powerful engine, distributing 3 boosts among any characters in reserve. When you have sap counters, and obviously we're putting a lot of things into reserve, all of our characters are pretty low cost, so if we ever get into a good cycle of putting things in and then taking stuff out of reserve with the aerolith tokens that we can produce, it's highly likely we can just add these boosts every turn. Couple of things to enable it. We've got the 3 copies of the Sap Sniffer. Pardew, 2 of our uniques have reserve abilities as well. Not really planning around that one, but a lot of our stuff we're trying to get into reserve anyway. But the main incentive is the main engine to get stuff into reserve is our 3 frozen deliveries, Axiom salvages, Gavroche, and obviously those aerolith tokens that we make. Low to the ground, efficient, threatens a lot of characters on the field at a time, but we did find some space, just a little split. We've got some Kelon Burst, Boom, and Avalanche as our removal, and then 1 cheeky copy of Hooked as a way to draw cards, and I suppose mess with what our opponent is doing. Alright, not too much more to say about it. Did do a similar thing, got rolled over by a similar list and said, hey, have a look at our Isaree and Pebble, because I play it as well, and they've given us something a bit more close to this. Obviously before the restocking stations disappeared, this deck was a lot better, because just recycling a card can be really good. But we do the best with what we've got. So let's test it out. We'll see how we went. A little bit tired, just woke up from a nap, but hopefully these games are good. Let's get into round 1. And welcome to game 1 of our Isaree and Pebble list. No copies of Restocking Station are available to us. How are we going to play this out? We've got a Kelon Cylinder Grems to start off with, playing second. We might be able to get one there. Do we prefer Axiom Salvager or Frozen Delivery as a way to resupply? Probably the Salvager. Alright, let's see how this goes. Kitsune. Drop the cylinder first, see what they do with the rest of their turn. If we can get the Salvager in now and win an expedition, we will. And never forget to pump our cylinder. Done that enough times in Bravos, we know that we need to click that button before we move on. Still forget it. Alright, the refinery's shown up. Sap Sniffer, Salvager, Refinery could be a turn. Do like the idea of the Grems because we're going to have an Aerolith to sacrifice. But if we get rid of the Boom, that's the only chance we have to play it. I think we're going to play aggro here. Going to have an opportunity to augment everything with the Sap Sniffer during our next turn. And if we need to, we can always use the Grems as an emergency button here. I think we'll drop the Refinery, and if they want to get rid of our Salvager, at least we get a sap counter off of it. But we do get to see what they want to achieve here. Okay, so if we play the Grems out, we can block them on the ascended side. Basically guaranteed to trade 1 for 1. Doesn't develop our Sap Sniffer. But we can play that a little bit slow if we want, because if we play out Sniffer plus Salvager... Oh no, we do block them if they play out the Kitsune. Get an opportunity, boost the Sniffer, continue to trade 1 for 1. And we're in no rush to use this Pardew here. Although it does get us to see another card, so we are going to do that. Pass the turn. Feels like cheating when you get to resupply extra cards into reserve here. A lot of uniques just showed up, which is nice. The expeditions line up really well for our rescuer on the companion side. They're going to pay 1 to get rid of our Refinery here, which is perfectly valid. We don't actually get to augment our Keylon cylinder, so small misplay from me there. Could have had an extra counter on this. And because of the ascension, we actually can't block them here. So properly messed that turn up. That's okay though. And I don't think we can actually achieve anything here. It doesn't really matter. We'll get the Kalon burst into the discard pile. Had we just played out the sap sniffer, augmented the cylinder, we would have threatened a trade here with the Amelia Earhart. So we did miss out on an advantage there. This ain't the deck that I've played a lot of recently, so I apologise for that. But it's cool. So we're most likely looking to trade 1-for-1 here again. We get to sacrifice our Aerolith for 2 cards. And we get 2 Pardew. Page 2. We'll use the Pardew's support ability, create a landmark, and then see what our opponent wants to achieve with their remaining mana. They can obviously just play out the Fair Fox. I'll just continue to trade 1-for-1. Hope we can figure something out here. Still get to look at a lot of extra cards. And it has felt good without the restocking stations. But those refineries are really integral to our game plan. This Grems has been sitting in our hand since the start of the game, which has been a bit rough, but not necessarily the matchup for it, and it may still have its time. Okay, so they can still Fair Fox, which would be 6/5. So we're going to try and figure out a way to get 7 power onto this side, or try and block him on the other. May have just fallen behind here, which is a little bit rough. Had they not gotten rid of our refinery, we'd be in a slightly better spot. And then I guess we'll just hope that they don't have anything else in hand, so we can get away with a little successful heist there. Please. I think playing out the Fair Fox would have been a better idea than the Saw if they did have it. Buggery. It's alright. We fall behind, have to block them on both sides. We're up on cards. A second refinery here would be pretty valuable. And Nancy's not bad. And I think the Amelia Earhart's okay to go here. I've got enough creatures that we can still get some stuff done. And I think we're just going to have to play into the Requiem here. What does this lady do? I wonder how this interacts with Hooked actually. So, gonna play the Grems, get the boost. I'll let them choose what gets the boost there as well. We'll sacrifice the Keylon cylinder. I think we'll just play them all out on the Gavroche. It is going to be a little bit too late, but that's okay. We missed out anyway. Wonder how the Refinery does in the Delaran Bowl lists. 16, swap them out, go to 9. We're really only one power away, to be honest. which is unfortunate actually. We had the opportunity to tie things up there. Potentially the sap sniffer turn cost us there, but that's cool because we're learning. That was a rough one. Alright. Opponents just hit us with the XD. Good on them. Alright. On to the next one. That one's sad. And we're back for game 2. Slightly disappointing end to the previous one. And we're playing first. So we get the Aerolith token first up here. Fen and Crowbar, suspicious of Lyra Festival here. We'll get rid of the... We've got two forms of removal, one that we want to try and hold on to for Lyra Festival if it shows up, especially early. So we'll try and keep our Aerolith tokens as well, so we can do something like this, get the Refinery running early. Another option would be Pardew and Salvager first up, as a bit more of a strong turn 1. But I think the Refinery is important enough to get running that we do care about playing that one out. Let's see what they want to do with their first turn. Hopefully it's a 3-drop and we can get the Salvager through. Worked out for us last game. Magical Training. Disappointing. We'll still make them play something out, but we'll play out a Salvager anyway. Contortionist lines up well for them, so they take an early lead. Could potentially have played an Aerolith to hope to get a support ability into reserve as well. We'll get rid of the Kaelon cylinder here. Could potentially have played out the Salvager, the Rune Scribe as well. If we knew we were going to get hooked, perhaps it would have been worth it. I don't necessarily think it's worth to boom away the Aloe Vera just yet. Nor do I think it's worthwhile to get rid of the Aerolith token. Not until we've decided that they're not going to be playing Lyra Festival. We're happy sitting back a little bit here. Both sides are bad for the Aloe Vera, so hooking it doesn't do too much. And we'll get rid of the Grems, so we can Frozen Delivery hooked Rune Scribe here. And we will start with that guy. They obviously have opportunities to use their mana as well. 1, 2, just dropping the Raw Dog Magical Training there for 3. Might give us a window to do something a little bit interesting. But they still do have 4 mana available to them. Hooked draws us a card, but the Refinery actually lets us win the expedition anyway. So we'll cop that. I think the face-up hooked here probably disincentivize the Contortionist being played. So we'll pass the turn, get rid of our 2 Aerolith tokens, and if that's the case, we may actually be better off getting rid of the Rune Scribe. No, it's our only character at the moment. Oh, Grems and Gavroche would have been very nice to play with any Aerolith tokens available, but we don't actually have that at the moment. Parliament of Ashes. No support abilities either, which is a little disappointing. It's hard to boost the Rune Scribe with those. It's not really the main focus of the deck, but it's still a strong enough unique that we play it anyway. Parliament of Ashes. Is likely a bit of an indicator that they're not playing Festival. And we think we'd rather keep our Refineries around if that's an option here. Avalanche would currently cost 5. They can still reduce a cost and play something out. The Contortionist would let them advance 1 for 1. And if we refine the Rune Scribe here, we can see what they want to achieve. If they reduce the cost of the Contortionist with the Martingale, as they seem to be doing, we'll just continue to trade 1 for 1. Alright, this is good. We get to use the hooked tough 1 we can pay for still. Switch over the Magpeng, draw a card. Oh, we don't control the token. I've messed up here. This is a hard deck to play. So many things to remember. We'll just boost our Grems. Pass the turn. In hindsight, probably should have just played it out. Haven't seen any sabotage out of them. We'll get rid of their Parliament of Ashes incidentally. Really good answer to Avalanche. So we do have that as an option. Play out our 2-1 drops and then see what they want to accomplish. We'll have 1-2-1 on this side. And then we're able to get rid of a bunch of things. 4 brown or less. So we can't actually get rid of the Alluvia and the Contortionist. But if they play out the Will-o-the-Wisp, that's free. And whatever else they want to drop, we can deal with that. 2, 3, 4, 5. If they play another Parliament of Ashes, maybe we're in trouble. But we shall see what they want to accomplish anyway. Behind 2 expeditions now. It's getting a bit sketch. Sapduendo. At least we've got an answer for it in hand. That also spells to me that they're probably not playing Lyra Festival, so now we're okay getting rid of the boom. We pass the turn. We don't want to just boost the Anansi again. Now that they've just shown us the sap, we're probably better off not sticking everything on one character. Is the Avalanche going to be useful here? Potentially. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Playing a Nancy of our own, thank you very much. Kind of okay with that. And I think with the Refinery we're going to split them here. And play a Nancy to the hero side in order to contest. Gain a boost, put sap counters on everything. And then see what it is that they want to accomplish. Does this give itself boosts? Yes, it does. They have a cost reducer. And the Avalanche was good there. Happy with that. It's a neat little art for the a cappella training. Reduce the cost. So probably just playing out the Hathor here to trade 1-for-1 on the each player's reserve +3. So they won't advance if they play it on the companion side, but it doesn't really matter where they play it because they'll advance on the hero side either way. Can't win with the Contortionist, can win with the Hathor, but don't have it around for next turn. We're pretty low on things to be doing, but we're okay with a 1-for-1 trade here. The next turn is likely to be pretty anemic though. If we can get some form of resupply, that'd be good. Oh. And now our plan is to play out the Refinery and then the Sap Sniffer. Because our Rune Scribe is gone, we don't really care about controlling a token. Still obviously have things to do when we sacrifice permanents with the other uniques we have in the deck. We'll gain our sap counters, and that actually might not be so bad. If they have sabotage, which they haven't shown us just yet, we can maybe do something interesting here. Twinkle Twinkle, no problem. They might still have Sap Duende in hand. We'll play out rat number 1. Gain all of the Sap counters first, because then we can augment them with the cheeky little guy. Seven. Okay, so if they just play out the Anansi, they're going to have 7 power on both sides. And as such, I think we're just better off augmenting the Sniffer. If they have Sap Duende, that's fine. Should be right. Just running out a bit of gas here again. Oh, bloody hell. Alright. Another 8-me energy bars will do it for him here, because they'll be able to reduce the cost. Sorry. They'll be able to reduce the cost of the Anansi. And we'll just boost our little sniffers. for him too. Ah well, hit him with a GG. Lost again. We went on a hot streak this last few videos. Here I am sitting there thinking about what they can do to play out everything else and win on both sides. And they just had Twinkle Twinkle there. Love that card. It's a good one. It's not sarcasm either. Yeah, another one. Alright. Let's see if we can salvage another 0-3. On to game 3. See you there. And we're back for game 3. Trying to avoid another 0-3 sweep. We're playing Zen and Zephyr. Playing second on turn 1. See what our hand looks like. Alright, I'm just going to play some creatures. Cancel. Avalanche, 2 Amelia Earharts is too many. Only like one of those in hand when we've got the Keelan Elemental, so we'll play one out, put the other one in. Depending on what they do with their turn, perhaps we put the Gavroche in as well. Which is adding to the board, keeps an Aerolith token around, and resupplies, whereas the Frozen Delivery just does the other thing. Alright. We're allowed undo in this game. Interesting. Alright, so they just resupply. Do they get a support ability? They do not. So we can take a 2 for 1 here, or we can just block them. I think we're better off just blocking them. Perhaps playing out the Gavroche would have been better, and then just sending the Keelan Elemental to discard. But I don't want to just flat out lose a card at the moment. And then we'll just see what our hand looks like after drawing up. That is interesting. We could Frozen Delivery and then a Nancy, trading 1 for 1. Although, with 2 ascended characters out, or 2 characters that can ascend available, we would be giving them an extra card. I think it's the Frozen Delivery again. Even if we do give up some sort of trade here, we may in fact just be better off. Playing out 2 characters. Now, if they go over the top of the Gavroche, they won't draw a card. If they play out their 2 reserve characters. However, they do have access to removal. So if they want a teamwork training our Gavroche to take a 1 for 1, they'll draw their card as well. So it will replace itself. They just pass. Mustn't have had it. Now we can get rid of the Keelan Elemental. Did a job, actually added a boost onto the Nancy. And this is a pretty good spot to get rid of the Pardew. So we'll see what they want to achieve here. Sabotage will be pretty devastating. Melusine, what do you do? They exhaust the Gavroche. I don't like that. I'm not a fan. See what their remaining card is. They could follow up with an Order Spy, which is going to be pretty devastating for us because it's going to be a 2-for-nothing draw a card. Now, what's the order here? If we sacrifice one of our Aerolith tokens now, and Nancy gets an extra boost, but if we do it after we play a Nancy, and Nancy gets an extra boost, seems a bit redundant. We're going to contest on the side that means they don't draw a card if they win. What could they have? Rare Saw would boost Melusine up by 1. Orders Trooper would just block us off. Foundry Mechanic also does it. So we do have to break open one of our Aerolith tokens in order to advance. And we pass. Then we get to figure out what it is we're doing next turn. They're not going to start with an extended expedition next turn. They have nothing that can do it before they play the Melusine, so if we keep the Gavroche and the Undyne, we can play out both before they have an opportunity to exhaust either of them. We are going to... oh, yeah, alright. That's okay. And Nancy's not going to be super big. That's okay. Still haven't seen any refineries yet. So this is going to be a bit more of a maintenance turn. We'll do what we plan to play around the Melusine exhausting something. We'll resupply and see what it is that we can get into play, and then if they play out each card in your reserve. So it goes up to 3, so they'll advance if they play out the Foundry Mechanic. Whereas we'd go up to 6 on this side. 5, 5, 6, 2 mana, teamwork training might do it for them. think we're going to have to bite the bullet and give them a card draw here if they want to ascend the gargoyle side. Cable car station, draw a card, 2 move counters, tap, spend, one of your expeditions, move back 1 region. Interesting. What are they planning to do with that this turn? Could have Foundry Mechanicked, although they might want that for stats next turn. No Mill Assign means no exhaust this turn. They can still have Jack Frost and all that other good stuff. I think we've missed the window on Keylon Cylinder being useful. And the refineries, honestly. I think if we draw them, we just chuck them into mana and keep other things to do. Their cable car factor is not going to be particularly useful here. Being green on both sides is somewhat rough. It means they're incentivized not to use their cable car station. So I guess we play this to the side. If they had exhaust in hand, they would have played it here. Galatea. Salvage is a bit rough. Can't actually boost anything on that side. And if we play out the Nancy, we can't really play out the Keylon Burst here. So I guess... Okay, so does Galatea get them to move forward? It's giving us the can't advance text or image. That ain't bad. Honestly, that's about as good as we could have asked for. What do they do here? Alright, and Nancy gets blocked if their last card in hand is a Foundry Mechanic, right? I just don't understand. So Galatea should be not blocking them right here because they're in contact, but it's showing that they are. Do I trust that?
don't know. I guess we just play out the Nancy on this side and hope that we still advance. Gets blocked on either side if their last card is Foundry Mechanic, but at least they have to play 3 things out and discard 1 from reserve in the end. Yeah, I really don't know what's going on here. That's thrown me for a massive loop. Ah, no, it's backwards. If I'm in contact, I'm defender. If I'm in contact, I get 2 boosts. So if they cable car, it's no longer defender. Okay. Reading the card explains the card. In the end. Alright, let's see what we can accomplish. I am going to commit here and say that the Refinery is probably not going to help us get a boost at all. One, two, three, four, five, six. Ooh. Amelia's not good. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7. So if we don't put anything into mana and then don't play the hooked, we can play out everything here. I'm going to resupply with the Salvager first because that's at risk. Cool card. It does have the maximum 2 boosts here. Orders Trooper. So if we keel on Burst their Galatea, they can't block us on both sides with their remaining card? Did we do it? I don't know. Where they're losing on everything on the hero side, so if they cable car it doesn't achieve much. There we go. Actually got on the board. That is we are 1 and 5 over the last 2 videos, so I'm happy with that one. Yeah, there you go. So, proof that the Refinery isn't necessary to win your games. Just helps a lot. And there you go. Alright, see you in the debrief. And we're done. 3 games with Isaree and Pebble. A 1 and 2 record with a few rookie mistakes. Haven't been playing as much lately, and I think given 20 or so games with the deck in pretty quick order, we would have stopped making those. Yeah, the deck still functions. I don't think it's as good as it was without the restocking station. The The Grems didn't get a chance to really show off, but there are a few matchup changes that do help the deck. Now that we're running those instead of the regular Grems, you've always got the option to make the extra 2/2/2 and 4 power for 2 mana can be pretty strong, so definitely still happy with that one. And the matchup against the Lyra Festival is a little bit better as well, because you can always threaten or intimidate your opponent into not playing it now that you can discard this for 2 mana. But it does pretty well. You see enough of the deck still to get your fairly limited removal package into the game, and we did have the one moment in there where just having the hooked face up in reserve was probably impacting what our opponent wanted to do, and we had it as a bit of a loaded gun pointed right at him, and won those expeditions anyway. But yeah, if this is what you're looking for, low to the ground, pretty good in terms of putting stats out on the board. The Amelia Earharts are a bit anemic if you don't resupply them into reserve, or if you don't have the Kaelon Elemental to chuck it in there either. But definitely has play. Big fan of this deck. Obviously, if you can limit the impact that the refineries make when you're playing against it, so some form of permanent removal is usually pretty good to get rid of. Fairly telegraphed turns as well. You know, if you can see them trying to get it online and they don't quite have the sap counters on there, it's always a good target and generally valid to hit, even if you are losing a bit of tempo by paying more mana to get rid of it than it costs. Saw it in the Tager game where Requiem is a really good answer to it, but every deck sort of has a few answers. Tager, the Grems, probably the best ones, the ones to look out for if you are playing the deck yourself. I really like it. Sap Sniffers have lost a little bit of intrinsic value in the deck now that you can't recur them with the restocking stations. So maybe if you're looking at changing a bit around, you can take a few of the rare slots out. Axiom Salvager not quite as good as a common, costs 2 from reserve to recur, but if you cut down to the common version of that, cut your Kaelon cylinders, you can throw the restocking stations in as well. If you're really invested in getting those back into the deck. Yeah, just a lot of good value. Trying to recur stuff out, use your engine in the refinery in order to cheat on mana in throughout the mid to late game, because obviously adding 3 power every turn, if you can get 2 of the refineries out, you're in a really good spot. Yeah, not too much else to say. Nuances are always good as a finisher. We got saved a little bit by playing 1 from hand, 1 from reserve in there as well, because it's not that hard to get quite a few cards into reserve at the start of the turn and really boost those powers. Issues with it is that all of your characters are fairly low cost, so things like Teamwork Training and Duel of Grit come online against it very early. You do have to think about those cards. And once again, the removal package is pretty limited. You see a lot of cards, you resupply quite a lot. Not as much as some other builds of the decks would, but if you have to send something to mana or discard something at the wrong time, it can feel pretty rough. But yeah, thought we'd try and get this one in, check and see how the deck ran after the errata. Seeds of Unity is out now, so watch this space, see if there's any changes to those decks that we want to make based on what the new card pool looks like. But yeah, hope you had fun.
Not going to waffle on for too much longer, but I will say that of the two errated factions that were impacted in the last restricted update, banned and restricted update, this one feels a lot more impactful than the Sigismar one. I think the Axiom list in general, even though that change was directed mostly at Traced, it has impacted this deck as well, and probably more significantly than losing the token on the first day for Sigismar. That one was sort of more pulling that hero into line with the rest of the format, whereas this one feels like it has taken a little bit off the top. Obviously, like I said, Traced was the main target there, but Isaree has lost a little bit as well. So maybe we'll try Traced as well. The list that we featured on the channel recently didn't run Restocking Station. It had a different plan, more of a combo look. So we'll see how that one goes now that other players don't have quite as many options, but we've still got Bravos to go, and we want to look at some Seeds of Unity cards as well. So we'll leave it there. Check back in another time. Hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, love your work.